Since the second Delta movie is gonna be out on DVD and Blu-ray soon, I figured I'd get this out of the way. Um, so this is my review of the first Delta movie. I've already reviewed the Delta TV series. Now, I'm going to say straight out that I'm going to give this, my objective opinion, even though I absolutely despise this movie. I want to be as objective as possible because I don't want, I want people to understand that it's not all bad. It's just one of the worst things that Macross ever made. And it's all because of the editing, to be completely honest. It could have been edited way better. And that's I don't know who came up with this cut of whoever decided to do it. Was it Kawamori or was it somebody else? I don't know. The new scenes are pretty good. This stuff like with, instead of Hayate, getting Shirokishi's eye removed or whatever, it's Messer, which I think was better. Their character arcs better. And I thought the new scenes with the new scenes where they completely redid the ending, where Kaname, Reina, and Freya all get captured and stuff. I thought that was better than what happened in the TV series. However, I have to say, most of the issues with this movie come with the fact that they skip over a lot of events that happen in the TV series that are kind of important, and they gloss over them, or they don't talk about them at all. Now, you have to remember that most of the TV series is decanonized because of this movie. Okay? And the reason why is the second movie. And the second movie, of course, there's a 5.5 minute little spoiler teaser thing on the Macross channel. But so this is not a spoiler really anything, but there's a particular scene at the beginning of the second movie where Freya is returning to Windermere for the first time since, escaping to join walkure, right? Well, since the second movie is a canon, then all of the events that happen on Windermere during the TV series where they sneak onto the planet are decanonized. So, now, the stuff with Belger Stone explaining, this theory or hypothesis that he has about songs being weapons, that's still canon because it doesn't, it doesn't actually get involved in, getting in the way of the movie in any way. And this is the problem with the first Delta movie, is that it basically, not all of it, but there's a huge amount of the TV series that is decanonized because of this movie. So, but at the same time, there's so many events in the TV series that if you don't understand them, you won't understand this movie. It makes a TV series required viewing, but you have to be able to distinguish which events are canon and which are not. Okay? This is more important in Delta than it is in any of the other Macross movies that were kind of remakes of the TV series in some way. So, do you remember Love is from the period of time that it's taking over is, I think, episode 3 to episode 24 of the TV series. So episode, 1 and 2 are basically okay. Outside of the fact that Minmei and Ichijo meet in the TV series that early, but in the movies they don't meet until he rescues her. So there are some things that are a little off about that, but in general, and then the stuff in the stuff post Zentradi War are, there's a lot of canonized stuff there. So, and then with like Frontier, there's only a couple things that are really decanon, like that are really canon from the TV series, like the Legend of Zero stuff, just that basic stuff. Whereas the rest of it is the movie, because of the 20-minute short that's with the second Delta movie that basically says that the canon is the second movie, but the TV series cannot come before the second movie because the events don't line up properly. The Delta is the one that requires a viewing of the TV series first, and then you watch the first movie, so that you can get an idea of what's decanonized. Because the minute you jump to the second movie, which I'm going, once I get my DVD, I'm going to do a full review of that. There's so many events that have been changed because of the first movie, and also the being a second movie involves like a lot of things changing as well. The Delta TV series can't be, outside of a few important facts that are left out of the movie, is basically a non-issue. So, this is probably the hardest series to really, until people outside Japan get a chance to actually watch the second Delta movie, you're not going to understand what I'm talking about, because I'm not going to spoil it yet until after I get to after I get my DVDs or whatnot. But the details of the second movie heavily impact the canonization of certain events through in either the first movie or the TV series. And the second movie does, take a wrecking ball to the TV series. Like, one of the characters dies in the TV series. He's alive in the second movie. Let's see, what are some of the other things that have been decanonized? The fact that all of the events that take place with Freya, Hayate, Mirage on Windermere are decanonized. Makina getting shot by a sniper is decanonized. Because the TV series, or the second movie, opens with them, Freya going back to Windermere for the first time. And they even say that. There's a line specifically there that says that. So all of that is decanonized completely because of the second movie. So even with the second movie in consideration, though, by itself, if you take it without any, impact, like any influence from the TV series, this movie is incredibly hard to understand. The flow is really bad, and some of the details that they leave out from the leave out of the movie that were in the TV series make it much harder to understand. And this is all because of crap editing. It's awful editing, and this is why this movie is hated so much by so many Macross fans. Now, when you get to the second movie, that's a completely different story. Everybody loves it. But the reason why this movie is hated so much is because the story doesn't flow very well at all. and the important details are left out that should have been left in to help explain a lot of the events going forward, but they didn't do that, and that's, an editing issue. So you're basically required to watch this to understand the events of the second movie, but you need to watch the TV series first, figure out what happens there that doesn't happen in the first movie, and then kind of wiggle in the events that can fit within the movie to create the full canon and of the war with Windermere and chaos and stuff. So because a lot of it gets retconned. So I personally hate this movie to absolute death. It is an awful movie. And that's hard to say, because it's hard for me to be able to say that because I love Macross so much. But I can't watch this movie without thinking about what happened in the TV series. And like, well, they needed to explain this. This doesn't make any sense without this. This doesn't make any sense without this. So, and then the fact that the way Hayate is already a member of Delta Squad at the beginning of the movie, whereas in the TV series, Freya and Hayate both join Chaos at the exact same time. So like I said, this the movie basically overwrites a lot of the TV series. So just keep that in mind, that this is a movie that's required viewing for the second movie, but it's the worst Macross movie there is. Like, Delta's probably the worst Macross TV series out of all of them, objectively. Outside of a few events here and there, I think Frontier's a much, much better TV series. I think both the Frontier movies are better than the first Delta movie. Like, I'm not a Frontier fan. I've already said my thoughts on Frontier, but honestly, Frontier's better than Delta. But when you have the Delta second movie, everything changes. And Delta is much better than Frontier because of the second movie. Everything else about Delta is not as good as Frontier. And I've made a comment somewhere before about that, like, where I think Frontier is better or Delta is better or something like that. But I just wanted to say this is, my review of it. I just finished rewatching it for, I don't know how many times I've watched the first Delta movie. And every time I wonder why I did it again. Well, for this case, I'm doing it for this video, but whenever I watch the first Delta movie, it's always, why did I put myself through that? Because it is just not good at all. And so I wanted to put that out there. So I wanted to get this out of the way. I'm going to do the 2 Frontier movies later. But I wanted to get this one out of the way because the second movie is going to be out in a couple weeks. And I'm going to have my copy on the 27th, I think. And an announcement is I'm probably going to stream it on Odyssey. So if people want to join me for a stream to watch the second Delta movie as I get my DVD, as soon as it arrives, I'm going to set up the viewing and the live stream for that. So the live stream will be over there because, that's why. Because, I can do it over there. But because I can actually show the movie while I'm watching it, and if people want me to comment and stuff during the movie, I will do that. but I don't want to get too involved in. Yes, the DVDs come with English subtitles, so I will be turning those on during my live stream of it, so people who don't understand Japanese can watch it with me, okay? Because it's only in Japanese. But I want to put that out there that I will be streaming it with the subtitles on. I'm probably going to do it straight off the disc. I haven't decided yet. We'll see. I'm going to do a quick test run of a stream with it before I, do the full stream. And I will, I hope everybody would like to come and watch it with me. I'll try to keep my mouth shut as much as I can, because I've already seen the movie 3 times in the movie theater, so I already know what happens. I know everything about it. But I'm still going to cry like a baby at the end. That's never going to change. But I wanted to put that out there as well. I will be streaming it on Odyssey, so if people want to come out and watch it with me, be my guest. I actually want people to come and watch it with me. If you want me to, comment during the movie, I will comment. If you don't want me to comment, I'll shut my mouth and just let it go, and then I'll have people can post comments in the chat, and I can read the comments and stuff like that. Whatever, however it goes, that's how I'm thinking about doing it. So, but I think everybody, if they can watch the Delta TV series and then watch the movie before the second movie comes out on DVD, please do, because it's going to be the second movie it's worth it to put yourself through the torture of watching the TV series, and the TV series isn't as bad as the movie. The first movie is terrible, but it's worth it to prepare for the second movie, because the second movie is absolutely amazing, and I want people to understand that after they released this movie, they took their time and they did Delta proper justice with the second movie. So, just to understand the second movie, you need to watch the stuff about the Windermere War. But other than that, don't need to really worry about it. Just to get the idea, okay, this is what happened during these are the events of the war. Okay, now let's move on to the good stuff. That's basically what it is. So, I can't say I recommend this, but it's required viewing for the second movie, so people should watch it. But I absolutely despise this movie, and as you could tell through my I tried to be more fair with my assessment for everybody, but now it's gonna be my opinion. I despise this movie. I think it's like the worst thing in Macross. That you cannot get worse than the first Delta movie in Macross. It is the lowest of the low. Besides the 20-minute Macross Frontier thing that came with the second Delta movie, that's just that just sucks. Oh, that's terrible too. I hate both of those. I hate this and that, but I think everybody should watch it once, and then to wash your mouth out after watching it by watching either Do You Remember Love, or if you get your hands on the second Delta movie, watch the second Delta movie, or watch, like the Macross Plus movie, or Macross Zero, or anything else besides Delta again, outside of the second movie. So, but I think everybody should watch it once, get the idea, understand that the events of the movies is the canon that moves into the second movie, because the second movie is a completely new thing. It was done from scratch, so everything, all the animation, everything is new in there. Outside a couple flashback scenes from the first movie, actually. So, which are just a couple quick scenes. It's nothing special, but But keep that in mind that the second movie is the canon, so that means the first movie is the canon, outside of a few events in the TV series that kind of fit within the context of the first movie. So just keep that in mind. So this movie's awful. I hate it, but everybody should watch it at least once, just in preparation for the second movie. That's my recommendation. And then you can forget this movie ever existed. Be perfectly honest, you can forget it ever existed. So, anyway, that's the end of this review. I hope it's useful for people. People can disagree with me. I don't care. I've been watching Macross since the beginning. Since, the TV series. So, I have cred. I'm an OG fan. I go back to the old days. So, from that perspective, this movie doesn't feel like Macross that very much. It feels like a giant music video. And another thing, one last thing I'll say that is a criticism of this movie is, and it happens in the TV series quite a bit too, is that every time they change, like walkure changes their get-ups for their songs or whatever, they always have that like transformation scene, and it feels like something from Pretty Cure, and that is just awful. Okay, Pretty Cure does not belong in Macross. Macross is not Pretty Cure. Okay, keep that shit out of here. And that's another gripe, that they do it in this movie as well. They do a couple of those scenes with it, and it is stupid. And I don't mind them changing their costumes during a song, or like in between songs or whatever. That's not the issue. The issue is that they have like a special transformation scene that they show, and then it has them like after the transformation scene, doing a pose, which is straight out of Sailor Moon and Pretty Cure. So no, that doesn't belong in Macross. Sorry, get that out of my Macross. But other than that, that's all I want to say about this. I hope people get a chance to watch the second movie as quickly as possible, because the second movie is absolutely amazing, and I want people to understand that just because this movie is garbage doesn't mean all of Delta is garbage. And I mentioned it in the TV series review I did, that the protoculture lore that they expand on in the TV series in Delta is actually really, really, really interesting. And the fact that inside the Windermerians, inside the runes, is a fold receptor, basically. And that saying, basically they have like a fold quartz in their rune, right? Which they do say in this movie. They do mention it. So, and that's extremely important, because that's directly related to how the protoculture created the Windermerian people. Okay. So, that'll be all for this review. I don't know when I'll get to the Frontier movie reviews, because I'm going to do them together. I'm not going to separate them. I'm only separating Delta because the second movie isn't out yet, and I want to do that one by itself. But I'll do that one, and I also I believe I have to do a review of Macross too. And I'm just going to say straight out, expect me to fanboy over it, and expect me to lump tons of praise on it. So, because, if you saw my Macross tier ranking, you know why, the details of that. So, anyway, that'll be all for this video, and see you in the next review.